You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Friday, 5th day of July, 2024. Everybody's been working for the weekend, and seems like yesterday was Friday and today's Monday, but today's Friday, and we got 2 days to look forward to. Then we'll be back at it again, God willing, Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, when the Globex markets open. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. Now, the first live broadcast, that's our live training room. That's reserved for members only and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. If you haven't taken your 1-week free trial, go to mytradingiq.com. At the very top of the page, there's a link. It says 5-day free trial. No credit card required. Click the link, fill out the registration form. It's an automated process, so try to get it right, because if you don't fill it out right, because it's automated, we don't get it, then you don't get the free trial, yada yada. Okay? Now, you might think, well, today's Friday, I should probably wait till Monday. Oh no. Sign up for the trial today so we can get your desktop set up today, get your indicators indicating today, and then you can get familiar with the indicators over the weekend. There are markets that trade over the weekend, and then your 5-day free trial will officially start on Monday of next week and run all the way through the close of business on Friday. Now, when you take the free trial, you're not just getting access to the live training room. You're getting access to every resource that our members have access to. There's the live training room, the concierge alerts, the logic alerts, the weekly zones, the discussion group where you can talk to our traders. I mean, we treat you just like you were a member. For 5 days, we foot the bill, because we want you to have a clear head so that at the end of the trial, you can make a well-informed and intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. I know some of you are brand new to the world of trading. Some of you have been struggling 5, 10 years. Here's the key. Books are great, courses are great, videos are great, but they're not a replacement for a living, breathing teacher. Taking off trades live in real time while you trade along in your demo account to qualify to go live, asking every question that pops into your head and receiving an answer live in real time. Now, when the live training room ends each day, now that's only 2 hours a day. CFRN runs 24/7. When the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the afternoon broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's a couple different ways you can join this broadcast live. Best way, you only have to do it once. Go back to mytradingiq.com and scroll down to where it says afternoon broadcast. Click that link, fill out that 30-second registration form, and you're done. Not only will that get you in same day, but going forward, every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In that email, there is a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. Of course, there will be days when you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, you can't join live, but you do want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel. youtube.com/CFRN. It's easy to remember because you already have the YouTube part memorized. Just remember CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,600 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to the world of CFRN, it is a great way to get to know who we really are. Not just today, not just this week, but thanks to the power of YouTube, you can see how we've evolved over the years. You can scroll back 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, but just pick some days at random. Watch a little bit, fast forward a little bit, watch a little bit, jump to another month, another year. The more recent ones, of course, are going to be the most relevant to you right now. There's an awful lot of training out there that you'll have access to. youtube.com/CFRN. Now, our schedule. We're back to a normal schedule today. We'll start with our daily devotional, word of prayer, got a little bit of market news. Then we'll get into a recap of the logic alerts and the concierge alerts. Then about 12:45, 12:50, Michael will pop in and give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live trading room. And then at the top of the hour, 1 p.m. Eastern, we'll go live on the TradingView platform and do some live trading for 30 minutes. At that point, I'll come back. I'll finish the recap of the alerts if I haven't already, and then I'll wrap things up with our good word for the day and for the week, I guess, being it's Friday. So let's get cooking. Now, the current devotional topic that we're in is The Chosen, Season 4. The scripture I'm going to share with you today is Mark 8, verses 27 through 32. And I'm going to share from the Message translation. Jesus and his disciples headed out for the villages around Caesarea Philippi. As they walked, he asked, "Who do the people say I am?" "Some say John the Baptizer," they said. "Others say Elijah. Still others say one of the prophets." He then asked, "And you? What are you saying about me? Who am I?" Peter gave the answer, "You are the Christ, the Messiah." Jesus warned them to keep it quiet. not to breathe a word to anyone. He then began explaining things to them. It is necessary that the Son of Man proceed to an ordeal of suffering, be tried and found guilty by the elders, high priest, and religion scholars, be killed, and after 3 days rise up alive. He said this simply and clearly so they couldn't miss it. Now that's the end of the scripture, but you and I know that no sooner than he said it, they forgot it. It was too out of the box. Because remember, back in that day, the rules were pretty strict, and there was a whole lot of them. So, my question for you, dear audience, and I'm paraphrasing Jesus here, who do you say I am? Or who do you say he is? Imagine what it would feel like if Jesus invited you to journey with him into the darkest worship center you'd ever heard about. A place stained with blood and pungent with death. Temples and idols made to honor many gods surround you when you arrive. That was Caesarea Philippi in Jesus' day. And that is where he took his friends. Centuries prior, the northeastern area of Israel had been a hub for Israelites worshiping Baal, the Canaanite fertility god. Neighboring nations eventually conquered this region and claimed Caesarea's canyon-like space for worshiping gods like Zeus, Nemesis, and Pan, among others. Many believed a large cave in the cliff was Pan's birthplace, which may be one reason Jesus refers to the gates of Hades in this specific location. So why take his disciples out of Israel and into such an unclean and unholy place? On one hand, he appears to be challenging them, as if he's saying, don't be afraid of your neighbors or even your enemies. These Gentiles are human beings, also forgiven and loved by God. Jesus seems to trust that the power of God's love and light will prevail against any gates of hell. He wants his followers to experience the way God's love drives out all fear. But we should also consider that Jesus isn't raising questions about his identity in an average, ordinary place. He's going to the place where many deities receive honor, each inviting worshipers to trust them. Jesus is saying, you've got choices. What will your choice be? Who do you say I am? You're the Christ, the Messiah, Simon rightly answers. And Jesus commends him for believing this truth. But then Jesus immediately says, shh, don't tell anyone. Why would he say this? By Jesus' time, the title Messiah had become coupled with the idea of a warrior king who would condemn and destroy Israel's enemies. Jesus hushes his followers because while they get his title of Messiah correct, he knows they have yet to learn that the true Messiah fights evil with love and forgiveness, with healing and generosity, and never through killing or harming people. Here's some questions for you to reflect on over the weekend. Most Jewish people, including Jesus' disciples, were expecting a Messiah who would destroy their enemies and unholy neighbors. Have you also been given the impression that God will come to rescue his creation by killing off bad people? What new questions arise for you when you consider that Jesus, who is also God, refuses to kill or even harm enemies in order to save humanity? When you see Jesus calling this actual geographic location the gates of Hades, or hell, what thoughts or questions arise for you? How might Jesus' followers become expressions of healing, love, and light in dark places rather than operating out of fear? And I'll end with the most important question of all. Who do you say Jesus is? Join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for revealing in your word the truth of who Jesus is, the Christ, the Son of the living God. Help us to understand the significance of his mission and his sacrifice. As we acknowledge him as our Savior, give us the strength to follow him faithfully, even when the path is difficult. Guide us to embrace your will and to stand firm in our faith. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen, and happy Friday. I did not go see the fireworks last night. Did you? It's just too hectic. I mean, you could see them because I'm up here on South Mountain looking down over the city of Phoenix. I mean, you could see them going off. And the dogs, goodness gracious. After a couple of hours, they just get used to it, go to sleep. But anyway, if you have dogs, you know exactly what I mean. All right, numbers from around the world, starting here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. The Dow is currently down 21 points. The Nasdaq is up 143. The S&P 500 is up 18 points and put in a new all-time historic high today. We'll see that when we go to the charts. The Russell 2000 is in the red, down 12.5 points. So the four major indices, which we like to see all the same color as futures traders, because you can be long, short, and long again all in the same hour if that's what the chart tells you. But when the markets are divided as they are today, it's sort of a tug of war. So we got the Dow and the Russell in the red. Now for the Russell, 12 points is pretty solidly in the red. For the Dow to be down 21 points, that's practically nothing. Now the Nasdaq being up 146, that's almost 1%. And the S&P 500 being up 18, well, it's about a third of 1%. In the commodity basket, crude oil is up 21 cents, trading 84.09 last. Gold is up $25.10, trading 23.9460 last. That's a gain of over 1%. Silver up 84 cents, trading 31.69 last. That's a gain of 2.75%. Now remember, when silver moves $1 in price, that's worth $5,000 per contract traded. And currently silver is up 84 cents on the session. So over $4,000 per contract traded. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei finished unchanged. The Shanghai dropped 7 points. The Hang Seng fell 228, so that's 1.25%. In the European markets at the close, FTSE down 37, the DAX up 24, CAC down 20. That is some quiet, thin trade. So we had a red day in Asia. It was a mixed day for the UK, only because the DAX had a measly 24 points. And as I've mentioned, it is a mixed Radio Friday here in the US of A. Got the Dow and the Russell in the red, got the NQ and the S&P in the green. That, I got a couple news articles. The U.S. labor market added more jobs than expected in June, while the unemployment rate unexpectedly rose, reaching its highest level since November of 2021. Another sign that the job market continues to cool. Well, what it means is all those people that lost their jobs due to COVID, well, most of them have now gotten their jobs back. Problem is there's been no new job creation. Now, you've been told the tale that all these people returning to their jobs were new job growth. Well, I disagree. We'll see. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics released this morning showed the U.S. economy added 206,000 non-farm payroll jobs in June, more than the 190,000 expected by economists. The unemployment rate, however, rose to 4.1%, up from 4% in the month prior, and the highest reading in almost 3 years. 3 years. What does that coincide with? I'm not going to go political. June's job additions were a slight decline from May, which saw job gains revised down on Friday to 218,000 from the 272,000 reported last month. So remember, last month they told us there was 272,000 of these quote-unquote new jobs. Well, that number has now been revised down to 218,000. Total revisions from April and May showed the U.S. economy added 111,000 fewer jobs than initially reported. How can you get a report so wrong? Almost makes you want to question these reports, doesn't it? The June jobs report showed more signs of cooling in the labor market, with job growth, including revisions weaker than expected, the unemployment rate rising, and earnings growth slowing. Oxford Economics lead U.S. economist Nancy Vandenhouten, well, that's a fancy name, wrote in a note to clients. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ Composite rose following the report, adding to gains after the market traded to record highs earlier this week amid a slew of softer than expected economic data, including readings on inflation that had the U.S. pacing back toward a disinflationary path, according to Jerome Powell. Now, ahead of today's jobs report, investors were pricing in 2 interest rate cuts this year, with the first most likely to come in September. According to the CME FedWatch tool, investors are pricing in a nearly 75% chance the Fed cuts rates in September. Last month, Fed forecasts suggested 1 rate cut would likely be appropriate this year. To some, today's reports further strengthen the case for the Fed to cut the interest rates in the near future. I see a scenario, and some of you may not have been around the markets long enough to remember this. Back in the day of old Ben Bernanke, Helicopter Ben, the one who said that he was going to fix the economy if he had to fly over America in a helicopter and throw out $100 bills. Remember him, Ben Bernanke? You don't hear much from him anymore. Yeah. He used to do surprise rate cuts. He also did surprise rate hikes. In other words, we know that the FOMC meets at established times and delivers the FOMC statement. But as I'm speaking right now, Jerome Powell could issue a notice that based on today's soft data, they're cutting the rate now. And then we could see another rate cut in September and one more by the end of the year. Is that wishful thinking on my part? Probably. So don't take it too seriously. But it is true, in the past, there were surprise cuts and hikes, going back way before Bernanke. According to Bloomberg, oil headed for its fourth straight weekly advance, with shrinking U.S. inventories keeping crude's early summer rally alive. I say that as I stand atop, and you sit atop probably. Liquid gold, as it's been called. We got more crude under the ground in the U.S. of A. than any other country in the world. And you go, wait, I thought Saudi Arabia had all the oil. Or I thought Iran or Iraq had all the oil. Remember, a little over 3 years ago, we were the largest net exporter of crude in the world. Not because we were robbing our strategic reserves, because we were drilling, baby, drilling. West Texas Intermediate was little change near 84 barrel on pace for a weekly advance of almost 3%. Crude has climbed about 14% since early June, partly due to a positive outlook for demand over the Northern Hemisphere summer, with bullish, backward-dated time spreads signaling healthy near-term consumption. A report Wednesday, that's when we get the crude inventories, showing the biggest drop in U.S. stockpiles in almost a year, added to signs of tightening supplies. Gasoline consumption on a 4-week basis rose for the first time in a year, according to the Energy Information Administration's weekly stockpile. And my last article for you today. The bull run in stocks may have further room for a stampede. Now, those aren't my words, but I'm not going to rule it out. According to Bradesco's BBI head of equity strategy, told Yahoo Finance this morning we're in the early innings of a bull market where the earnings recovery story has barely begun. Laidler, whose resume includes stints at HSBC and our friend JP Morgan, thinks there's a likelihood of 2 interest rate cuts this year from the Fed, which should fuel further investor excitement beyond expected strong earnings growth. Those factors could help lift stocks at least 100% over the next 5 years. Now, I won't go into the whole song and dance here, but I have told you and taught you and trained you for years that the indices, S&P, Dow, Russell, and Q, will always go higher over time. If I were a young man, if I was 21, had my first job, knew what I knew now, I'd simply plow $100 into an S&P Spider index. I'm talking about the whole S&P, not just a sector. And whether the market rose or fell, I'd pump in another $100 week after week after week, which would probably lead to a very early retirement around 45, maybe 50. But I'm not that young man. And when I was, I didn't know what I know now. Friend, if you have someone in your life who just graduated high school or is graduating college, best gift you could give them, open them a free account over Robinhood or the broker of your choice. Get them an S&P index fund and either feed it for them or tell them that however much they feed in on a weekly basis, you'll match it. Now, yes, there will be sell-offs. Yes, there will be declines. Maybe there's a recession. Maybe there's a depression. But the lower the market goes, the more shares of that index fund you own. And the reason the indices will always go higher over time is because the weak players are removed and replaced with strong bullish companies. There's 500 large cap companies in the S&P 500. If any one of those companies shows signs of weakness, bad numbers, other problems, then the board at Standard & Poor's will remove that company and replace it with a strong bullish company, one that's beating expectations. Now you might say, wait a minute, that sounds like they're stacking the deck. Exactly. It's a way to be an investor and never have to worry about picking the right company. Oh gosh, if I'd only got in Tesla years ago. No, you just keep buying that fund and buying that fund. The lower the price goes, the more shares you buy. The higher the price goes, the fewer shares you buy. You know, whatever dollar amount you've committed. You cannot lose. Now, somebody's saying, well, that sounds wrong. When I say you can't lose, that's if you have a long time horizon. Remember, we're talking about somebody in their late teens, early 20s. They got a long investment horizon till their retirement. Unless the current administration gets us into a war that we can't win at the moment. Sorry to say. All right, I've filled your head with enough stuff. Here comes some more. Logic 247. That's our 24/7 round-the-clock E-mini alert service. This alert was done this morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern by Valerie. She will update it and finalize it for the week this afternoon or this evening. We are currently in week 309. Over the last 309 weeks, we have issued over 17,000 individual handcrafted alerts. Now, it's not just E-minis, it's also crude and gold and silver and euro and bonds. Since the markets opened Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, at the time Valerie did the recap this morning, we had issued a total of 57 alerts. 3 never triggered. We're still waiting on the outcome of 17. I think some of those have resolved themselves positively, but some may have resolved themselves negatively. We'll know this afternoon when she completes the recap. So at the time of the recap, on a 40 week, I did put out a few alerts this morning. 37 actionable alerts, of which 7 or 19% would have been stopped out based on market structure and a very simple process we teach all of our members in their one-on-one mentoring sessions. Over the last 309 weeks and over 17,000 alerts, what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out, again based on market structure and that very simple process that I teach all of our members in their one-on-one mentoring sessions. Now, these logic alerts give you an entry price, an initial target, additional targets, final trade to target. Jimmy, if you're listening, yeah, I'll help you find a good trading computer. Sorry I didn't see your message earlier. But the purpose of the logic alerts, it's not just so you can trade the alerts and not have to learn how to trade. The alerts are designed to help you learn how to read the chart, okay? And in those one-on-one mentoring sessions, I will teach you how to use the logic alerts to learn how to read the chart. When you first went to school, either you already knew how to read, or the first task was the teacher had to teach you how to read. Because until you can read, you can't learn anything else. You can't learn geology or biology or social studies because you gotta be able to read the textbook. In trading, you gotta be able to read the chart. That's what I teach our members, how to read the chart. Now, once you conquer those Logic 247 alerts, then you step up to our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. Now, they're a little bit different. Number one, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. That's because futures trade around the clock, and we have traders around the globe. Their day session is our night session, and vice versa. But the CTAs don't come out around the clock. They're posted as a static report shortly after the Globex opened each evening. The Friday session began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 20 minutes after the open. All of our members and all of our trial members had these targets. And when we go to the charts, if you're not a member, it's going to blow your mind. First thing you do when the CTAs come out is go to the 30-minute chart of whatever markets you actually trade. Make a note where price is at the time the report is published. It'll always be between these two numbers. Draw a line in the sand at the long target, line in the sand at the short target. Price gets above the 30-minute BBC, it's attempting to reach the long target. If price gets below the 30-minute BBC, it's attempting to reach the short target. It's pretty simple. The BBC is the green line you see on my charts. No matter what time frame I would ever show you, mostly it's the daily and the 30-minute, you'll always see the green line. BBC stands for bull, bear, cross. If price crosses above the green line, I'm bullish and anticipate higher prices. If price crosses below the green line, I'm bearish and anticipate lower prices. Always relative to whatever time frame I'm looking at. Daily, weekly, monthly, 30-minute, 5-minute, tick chart, range chart. Concept is the same. Now, this is where you start using what I taught you with the logic alerts. How to spot those entries, those targets. And you learn how price behaves at a weekly trading zone. Price is always trying to reach a weekly trading zone. From the moment the markets open Sunday night, so they close Friday afternoon. Price is above the 30-minute BBC, it's trying to get to the zone above. Price is below the 30-minute BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. We've published the zones since December 14th of 2009. This December will make 15 years. The The zones are published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published Monday morning, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They do not change in any way whatsoever. And remember, price is always trying to reach a zone. Just resist the urge to complicate things. As long as you know which way the wind is blowing, it's pretty simple to reach your goal for the day. Now again, 20 minutes after the open last night, our members had all these targets. Okay? All right. Now we're going to go where we always go at this time. Daily chart. So you're like, whoa, I don't trade the S&P. I don't trade the daily chart. What good is this to me? Let me explain. First, we have a new all-time historic high, 56.1275. Previous high. Well, we had one here at 55.88. Then we had one here at 55.95.75. Now it's at 56.1275. So let's see. Now, when you gotta see how it lit up those little boxes when I clicked the line. You only want to move this top line because none of this information has changed. The only thing that's changed is we have a new price. So hover over it till it turns green. If you do it when it's like that, you're going to screw the whole thing up. Get it green, and then try your best to get 55.625, 56.1275. So we're 2 ticks off. That's good enough. Now, as I admitted this morning in the discussion group and in the live training room for a moment, once this step line crossed blue and climbing, we anticipated a pullback to the BBC. But when that happened, the BBC was down here. The market consolidated, finding support at the 62% fib extension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row. Now, typically when the BBC rises to meet price, a crash is imminent. This time it didn't happen. In fact, red and falling turned back to blue and climbing. The step line that crossed blue and climbing, leading to the BBC, the step line has now crossed back above. So the current fib extension from the low of April 19th to the high of May 23rd to the low of May 31st, the 100% fib extension is 56.71. Okay. Question is how do we close today and how do we open Sunday night? Now, you might say, why look at a daily chart? I don't trade a daily chart. I don't either. However, institutional traders, the ones who trade in such huge size because of their account size, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. Again, it's because of their account size. So, whatever you trade, might be a different futures market, might be individual stocks, might be crypto, Forex, ETFs. If you'll train yourself to spend 2 minutes with the daily chart of whatever it is you trade before you start your trading session on the smaller time frames, you'll have a pretty good idea which way the wind's blowing. You'll know where major resistance is. You'll know where major resistance is. You'll know where major support is. Step line, blue and climbing, the low of July 3rd, the 62% fib extension, and then of course the daily BBC. Bull bear cross, BBC. Bearish when price crosses below, bullish when price crosses above. This indicator is called the CFMA1. I refer to it as red and falling, bearish, blue and climbing, bullish. It gives me a heads up when price is about to challenge and possibly overcome the BBC. However, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Okay? Right down here. This pullback to the BBC held, sent prices lower, but price ran into blue and climbing, which is bullish. And that took us above the BBC. On this pullback, price held 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and then took off, consolidated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, and then broke free. You won't find that information on the 30-minute chart, your tick chart, or your range chart. So you look at the S&P, or you look at a daily chart of whatever you trade as a fact-finding mission. Okay? Do not trade against the institutions. It's a loser's game. Now, can you always tell what the institutions are doing based on the daily chart? No, some days like this one, they don't even know what they're doing. Okay? But this was the holiday. We didn't expect much. And this is pretty clear. They're pretty bullish, aren't they? Again, whatever market you trade, just spend 2 minutes with the daily chart before you go to the smaller time frames. And those important numbers that you find, jot them down. Okay? Now, all alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. These vertical lines separate today, Friday, from Thursday. Here's Wednesday. Here's Tuesday. If I kept going back, we'd find Monday. When price rises to a weekly zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. Resistance. See how this pullback held? Sent us higher. Then we just consolidated quietly on the holiday. And then last night, the market opened. 20 minutes into the life of this candle, our members had all these targets. There was support below, so you're only thinking long. Price crosses above the BBC. There's your goal for the day right there. But then price runs into resistance. Based off this, we retrace to the BBC. The pullback holds. We spike up and we hit the long target. Resistance sends the market back to support at the BBC. Support sends the market to resistance at the weekly zone. This is the definition of an uptrend. Higher highs, higher lows. Okay? Now again, all of our members and trial members, they had this target last night, 20 minutes after the open. And they never had a reason to consider this because every one of these candles was touching the BBC. On the Dow, it happened a little differently. We opened below the BBC, so we anticipate lower prices. But then price pulls up to the BBC and blue and climbing comes into the picture. So we consolidate at the BBC, then we drop below it. Blue turns to red and falling, and down we go for a nice leg, go for the day. Now the market found support right here. No surprise. When the market finds support, it will go to resistance, See how we spiked the BBC? But by the time the 30-minute candle closed, we were back at the BBC. So the resistance here sent us back down to the target. We even spiked the zone. How about that? Support sends us to resistance. Resistance sends us to support. Every market, every time frame, it's a never-ending cycle. Futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETF, it doesn't matter. Price flows from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again, never-ending cycle. The Russell opened at the weekly zone. Now, these zones were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Price goes up to a zone, resistance. 70% of the time when price encounters a zone, it's going to consolidate, like you saw here for practically a day and a half. Then price broke down and took us right to the target. That support sent us back to the BBC, resistance. Now imagine this was a huge green candle that almost made it to the long target. But price is still touching the BBC. That green candle disappeared, and then it became a red candle, all in the same 30 minutes, and went all the way to here, where it found support at the zone 2036/37. Support bounced us to resistance. Resistance sent us back to support. Support sent us back to resistance at red and falling. And right now, see how that step line is crossed? Price is getting ready to pull up to the BBC. Okay, guys, we will pick up with the NQ when I come back. Right now, Michael's going to give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. Then we're going to go live on the TradingView platform for 30 minutes. And I'll be back. We'll finish up the recap of the alerts and wrap things up with our good word for the day and the week. If you're ready, sir.
All right. I am ready. You should be looking at my charts now.
And they look good.
Excellent. All right. Here we go. So we did get up to that zone that we were looking at earlier.
Yes, we sure did.
And this was our prior swing high.
We sure did.
Nice. All right. Well, the next level is up here. To finish what looks like is happening right now. The next level would be up here. For me, right around 56.20, right around there. But closing below this weekly trading zone by the end of the day is probably what's going to happen. Is this the highest zone right here? This is probably the highest zone, right? 56.11.
I got to remember to open both microphones. That would be a hard no. The highest weekly zone is at 56.98.
Oh, all right.
Way up there.
Good. All right. Well, then we could finish up at that spot. Not the 56.98 one, but the 56.20.
Yeah, I doubt we get there today, but Sunday night could be. I don't know how we close. If we close bullish today, we could see an explosion Sunday night.
Yeah, when European markets open back up. Yes.
I just read a news article. I shared a news article with the audience. Folks over at Bloomberg think that over the next 5 years, we could see the S&P 500 double.
Really?
Yeah. That's after all the revised job numbers. Oh, it was hilarious. If I get a chance, I'll send you the link to these hilarious articles about all these numbers that showed about all this great job growth. And they've been revised over the last 2 months by like 171,000 jobs. Anyway, don't get me started.
Imagine that. The truth starts to stumble out.
Yeah. People are starting to see the truth. All right.
We didn't see that coming.
Let me let you go to work.
Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 5th day of July, 2024. Now, if you have not taken a free trial, let's go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button right here. When you click that purple button, you're going to be brought to a page that gives you the registration information. Click on that. But you know what? I'm going to go change that right now. Well, I'm thinking about it because I didn't change it yesterday. So try I had the information, but I guess I did. So let me go here and log in over here, and I'll get that information changed, and I will show you what you're going to get registered for. Yeah. And then click on that and paste in that and see done right there. Go down to the bottom and do the same thing. And click on that and paste in that. Say done and publish. All right, so give this just about 30 seconds and we'll refresh this page. And then I'll be able to show you what you need to do. There it is. All right, so if I refresh this page, when you click on this purple button right here, it is going to bring you to this page right here. It'll get you registered for Monday morning. All right, down here at the bottom, all we ask for is your first name, your last name, your email, your phone number. In here, give us your Ninja Trader machine ID if you have a machine ID, your TradingView login ID if you have a login ID, the register button. Once you hit that register button, you will be sent everything you need to get into the room in the morning. And if you give us that information, we'll let you know when you can start activating your indicators. All right, and start applying your indicators. All right. So today we had a pretty good day in the room today. This month so far, getting the goal has been, not gonna hold it, has been easy so far. The first 4 days of the month, getting the goal has been easy. Now we didn't have great numbers the first day, but since then it's been pretty good. It hasn't been great. Today was better than all the other days put together. But anyway, if you get into the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 5th day of July 2024. We had 116 ticks on the NQ and 13 on the YM. Didn't trade the Russell at all, and we're break. I know we had a -10. We had a couple of trades on the ES, I think, right? Yeah, one break even and one -10. Put us at $520 per contract on the morning session. I'm sorry, with one contract. No, it is per contract. $520 per contract on the morning session. Today it took 6 minutes and one trade to get to the goal for the day. That put her up $105 per contract, which put us at $1,995 with 19 contracts on. And we traded a total of 11 times this morning. So on the month now we're at $920 over 4 days, averaging $230 per contract for 2 hour business day. On the year we're at $48,005. So that's how we wrapped up pretty much the first 6 months of the year. Ended, I guess they ended on Friday. So that's pretty much where we are right now, $48,000. So I would expect by the end of the year, we'll probably do more than double that by the end of the year. Okay. As we get closer to the election, it's going to be more volatility and things are going to give us a lot more opportunity. Anyway, if you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day and add one contract per month and do everything just like I did in the room, you'd be at 44 hours so far this year. You would have worked, and you would have you would have averaged $1,394 per hour, adding one contract per month starting this year in January. Starting last year in January, it'd be at 19 contracts now, and you would have averaged $6,271 per hour. $62.71 per hour. Started this January, $1,394 per hour. Right? Good stuff. Now let's get into the actual trades. On the YM, we had a few trades. We had the YM, the NQ, where we had the majority of the trades today. But let's get into it here on the YM. Begin with, okay. Here we are, right here, our very first trade right here. This is where we picked up the goal on the YM. Our strategies weren't working properly again today. We didn't figure that out until after our first couple of trades. The NQ trade, the first NQ trade, didn't put a target on and ended up with 60 ticks in profit on that. It didn't put a stop on either, so that was kind of, I didn't realize it until after. But anyway, this first trade on the YM, we ended up with 21 ticks right here. Okay, and the next trade here, we got just a couple more to get us to 23. And then we stopped out right here, put us back down to 13. And that was where we ended the trading. I did get into the lesson plan somewhere in there. I ended up taking a break that ended up lasting a little longer today because I had some stuff that popped up that I had to take care of. But since then, during the break, there was one blue arrow here that would have been a break even, and that is it. Just one blue arrow. Here on the Russell now. You know, there was one thing. Is Gordon in here? I meant to do it this morning. I don't think that I did. Gordon is in here. Good. You were asking about the gold last week, I think. Gordon, weren't you? And I wanted to show you the gold, but let me get back to that. On the Russell, we didn't do any trading today, right? We didn't trade it all on the Russell. And if you go all the way back to the beginning, there was one trade right here, right at the beginning that we missed. One blue arrow trade right there that we missed. Another blue arrow trade right here that we missed. Both really nice trades. One blue arrow trade here that we missed. Again, a really nice trade. And that was it on the Russell. We missed all three of those trades. On the ES now, we had just a couple of trades. Our first one was a break even. I don't know exactly where it was. But we had a break even on the first trade, and then we stopped out on the second one. On the second one, this was the number I was looking for right here. And if you guys remember right, this morning, 5,600 had a huge number at it. We had to get through that 5,600 number. And I thought as soon as we got through it, I thought we were going to go straight up to here. But we pulled back before we made it up to there. Anyway, we did make it up to there. And a couple more bounces, but nothing that we were able to take advantage of. During the break, there was one blue arrow right here that went right up into the weekly trading zone and into a new all-time high, it looks like, by one tick. A new all-time high by one tick. Now, this number up here, I had, you know, when you're looking at all-time highs, you can't look left anymore. You run out of targets. You see how right here on the target table, there's just a black dot because there's no more targets. After this blue arrow right here, there's nothing up here on the left. So you just end up with this. Now, if we were to get a blue arrow in here, it would use this target right here. We'd use this as your target. When you don't have any more targets, then you have to use price action to figure out what's coming next. And that's what we did in the room this morning. We did a little analysis based on the price action that's happened over the last 3 legs that have triggered. And that price action leads us to believe that we're going to end up right here at some point today or maybe Sunday, 56.20. The downside to that, if it fails, the downside would be down here at 55.85. Okay. That's what the analysis led us to think. Now, we did not end up with any more trades in there, so that stuff is all done. Now, on the NQ, let's go all the way back here. All the way back here. All the way. Still going. Still going. Here we are. All right, on the NQ, our first trade here on the NQ, this is one where I realized the strategies weren't working. It didn't have a target on it, and I picked up 60 ticks profit on that. Okay, picked up 60 ticks profit on that. And the very next trade on that was over here. We picked up 8 more ticks to get us to 68. Then our next trade was here. We stopped out, minus 20, brought us down to 48. Then we had a trade in here. We took the black arrow right here. Dave, I don't know if you hear, that was one we talked about this morning. We picked up 30 on that, get us back up to 78. And then we had a break even. And somewhere in here, we had another 30 tick trade that got us to 108. I don't know where. Right there. And the 30 tick trade got us to 108. Or that might have been the one that got us to 116, because we had an 8 tick trade somewhere that got us to 116 from 108. Anyway, there's one trade missing in here. This is a 30 tick trade. It might have been this one, might have been any one of these, could have been that. I don't know. But that's where we ended for the morning session. We ended with 116 on the NQ. Now during the break, there was a purple arrow there that was just a plain ribbon trade. That would have been a nice trade to take. A blue arrow here after that put in the higher swing. Blue arrow there that was good. Blue arrow there that was good. Blue arrow there that would have stopped me out. A blue arrow here that would have stopped me out. And that was it. So if you're just trying to get the goal for the day, then you would have been done way over here. See the no trade zone it's in right now. We're really flat markets right here on the NQ. So you probably want to stop trading the NQ for right now, I would think. All right, it's 105. 105. So let's go back here for a minute, and we'll show you this. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 5th day of July 2024. I made 106 ticks on the NQ, 13 ticks on the YM, and minus 10 on the ES. I put us at plus 520 in the morning session. Today it took 6 minutes and one trade to get to $1,995. I took a total of 11 trades this morning. So on the month, we're at $920 a contract over 4 business days, averaging $230 with one contract in the morning session. So far in the month, that's a pretty low number. But I think we doubled it today. On the year now, we're at $48,005 over 124 business days, averaging $387 per contract per morning session. Now, if you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day and add one contract per month starting in January of this year, we would now be at $61,443 doing it just like I did. And you would have averaged $1,394 per hour, only working 44 hours. If you'd done the same thing starting with 13 contracts, just like I did, then you'd be averaging $6,271 per hour, same 44.05 hours, but $6,271 per hour with 19 contracts on right now. Okay. All right. Now, for those of you guys watching in the YouTube session, let me go turn on the YouTube really quick. And here, we'll go there. YouTube. Let's bring it up. Bring it up. Here it is. Those of you guys who are watching out there live, turn it on so if there's any questions that come in. All right. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. That is going to bring you to this registration page. On this page, all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Down here at the bottom, gives you your trader machine ID or your TradingView login ID. Either one of those will be fantastic. Give us either one of those. Hit the register button, and we'll get your indicators enabled so that you can add them to the charts. Now, they don't automatically show up on the charts. You have to actually do a little something to put them on your charts. Go here to trading platforms, go to mytradingq.com, click on trading platforms. If you have NinjaTrader, down here at the bottom is what you have to do. Or you have to do an import. You have to download this file, this one right here, download this zip file, the TIQ-NT8 zip file. Then you have to import that through NinjaTrader. Okay. With TradingView, you just have to click on the link from Trade Rules right here. Once we've enabled it for you, click on either one of these links right here and your charts will load up just like mine. If I save this right here, right now, I save that, you see the URL right here, 6JUNAIR. That is this URL right here. So if you go out to this page right now, click on that, you'll have a read-only copy of my charts. When you click on that, it's going to say copy in the upper right-hand corner. If you click on that word copy, then you'll be able to make your own chart. If, depending what level you have, if you have too many layouts used in here, like I can have, because I'm premium, I can have like 300 layouts or something like that. But if you're not premium, you have a limited number of layouts that you can have. And if you try to save that, it's going to try to save it as a new layout. If you have too many layouts, it's going to give you an error message saying you have too many layouts. You have to go in here like this, click load layout, and go in there and delete some layouts that you don't use. Like I have no idea what this unnamed one is. So I'm just going to hit delete. Do I really want to delete it? Sure. Now it's gone. Now I have space for one more layout. That's what you have to do. Okay. That's if you have TradingView. If you have DT Pro is a little more complicated because with DT, you have to actually go in here and watch the videos. This is Bert who recorded all these videos. Watch the videos. You're going to have to actually do a download. Now the version that you're going to download right here, I believe. Let me see if I click on it. I haven't clicked on that in a long time. Oh, it brings right here to the demo thing. Choose your download. Choose your download platform. Live trading or the demo platform is what it's going to bring up. So right in here, you're going to download your demo platform. There it is, your demo platform. You're going to download that. I don't like this version right here. If there were an option to use a different version, I would. But you're going to download the platform, and you go out there and just stick an older version on there. Download the platform, and then Bert's going to get in touch with you and give you all the information you need to watch all the videos, right? And we'll get you set up there as well. That's to use StoneX as a trading platform, not so much as a charting platform. You don't really need it as a charting platform. You need it as a trading platform. All right. If you have TradingView as a charting platform, you don't need anything else as a charting platform. Okay. All right. So let's get into the trades. Now the NQ is just going sideways, and well, no trade zone, no trade zone, no trade zone, and we're not in no trade zone yet on the YM, but we're not too far away from one either, I don't think. Okay. If anybody has any questions or you want to see any of the symbols, all you have to do is tell me. Gordon, I don't know if you're still watching. Gordon, it says you are, but I want to go and look at something with you really quick. Go out here and look, we drew this in last week, right, on Ethereum. Say whatever way it breaks out of this triangle here. I was thinking it was going to break up, but it didn't. It broke down. Now it broke down and went right through the support level right here, which was surprising. And I imagine Bitcoin's doing something similar. I haven't looked at Bitcoin, but the main support level, it's at it right now. If it drops below this, it's got a long way down.
Blood in the streets, blood in the streets.
Yeah,
it's okay, shaking out.
Be on Bitcoin.
Well, what's happened is Mt. Gox that got hacked 10 years ago, those people are just now being made whole 10 years later. So we're talking billions and billions of dollars. What would you do if you'd been waiting on $10 to get made whole? I'd sell. That's what I'd do.
You'd bail out. There was something else I was just going to tell you. I don't remember what it was. But anyway, blood in the streets. It's time to buy.
And the U.S. Justice Department just struck a deal with Coinbase to custody. You know, like whenever they do these seizures and stuff, when they bust some crime family and they confiscate a bunch of Bitcoin.
Yep.
The U.S. Government is got a deal in writing with Coinbase to custody it until they can get it sold. So that's bullish. That's bullish for Coinbase in a falling market. So.
The other thing that I was going to say is with all the indexes rising, that means a lot of money is coming out of somewhere to go into that. So money coming out of the cryptos to be going into the indexes right now, going into the equities. That is another potential thing. You take one leg away, one leg gets smaller.
There's a whole lot going into gold and silver right now too.
Yep. It used to be the stool. Now when you add crypto to it, it used to be a two-legged stool. You take out of one, it goes into the other. And now it's a three-legged stool. You take out of one, and it has the potential to go into two others. And it looks like they're probably sharing it right now, taking it out of crypto, sticking it everywhere else. So there's a lot going on. Gordon, I think that I want to show to you. We'll go out. I guess we can look at it here. I need to look at it here. This is what I was looking at. This is what I meant to look at in here. This is GameStop. I was looking at GameStop. So July. Yeah, let me just take a picture of this. And
is that the GameStop symbol?
Yep.
GTLD?
That is what it is.
Huh. Oh yeah, because GS is Goldman Sachs. Okay.
Yeah, here. Let me send that. All right. So what I wanted to look at in here was gold. I want to look at gold for you, gold futures, the current contract, and I wanted to look at it on a 4 range. Because you had asked about it the other day, I think, hadn't you? You asked to look at gold the other day when I was doing something. I was somewhere doing a webinar or something like that. And I'm pretty sure.
I think I had mentioned silver, but the two tend to trade in tandem, gold and silver.
Yeah. Hang on, let me put the TV trades back on here. Just this. Let me see what I got going.
In fact, gold traded above its highest weekly zone today.
Did it really? Is it back under it yet?
I don't know.
It's retracing a little bit right now on the 4 range.
The highest weekly zone for gold is 2388/2389.
All right.
So I guess
so what I want to 2388, 2389. Right now it's at 2395.
Okay, so it's above.
Still above it right now.
It's still above.
Yeah. GME. What was I just looking at? I don't know. I have to go back and look at it. It might be GME.
Looking at GTLB. Is that?
What is GTLB? I'll have to go back and look at that.
Well, you said it was GameStop.
Yeah, but I don't think it is. I think GameStop is GME. That's why I was wondering why that
Oh,
was
yeah,
so bullish.
that's it.
GameStop was getting
GME.
crushed the other day.
GME.
GameStop was getting crushed the other day. That's why I was taking a picture of it. Anyway, the gold. What I want to look at here, Gordon, I thought you had asked about gold the other day in some webinar that I was in. And this is it on a 4-tick range today. Just using the TV trades. So it was nailing the gold pretty well. I don't know if if you wanted to see that anymore, but that's it. Let me look at the GME though. I want to go look at the GME now that you mention it. GameStop is G. Oops. What the heck is GTLB? GTLB. GitLab, whatever that is. I was looking at that for you, I think, Dwayne, the other day. You know what GitLab is? I do not. Hang on. GameStop on a 4 range is 4 cents per bar. That's not going to work. Let's put that on a 25 range. There you go. So now it's a quarter a bar. Okay. So now I can send that. Oh, yeah, that last one didn't ever send. Maybe I never will. Okay. It's okay. It doesn't. Oops. All right, let's go back here. I want to go back to the trading. If we have an opportunity to trade, we're in no trade zones everywhere a minute ago. We just came out of the no trade zone there on the NQ, and we have green arrow, but it's too late for me to get into it. It's already about 8 ticks into profit. Over here, we're in no trade zone there. Coming out of it over here on the Russell. Now, I haven't had a Russell trade all morning, but the Russell's going down into a weekly trading zone, so we're not going to get anything there. We need a higher swing over here on the NQ if you have to do anything with that. And that's it. So you are right, Michael. GameStop is GME. Thank you for that. What was GitLab? I went and looked at that for someone for some reason, and I don't recall why. Or who? They must have been you, Dwayne. You must have asked me to look at that. Okay. I don't know. You look pretty good on the chart. Oh, I just realized this has been recording from this morning. So I can stop the recording on that. This morning's lesson plan is not going to be recorded. Actually, you know what? I figured out how to cut that. So I could cut the end of that off.
If you want to, you can send it to me and I'll trim it up for you.
That's all right. We'll figure it out. It's not that big of a deal. I don't think today's lesson plan was some days I really get into things and I cover material really well, and the material just presents itself really well. Today wasn't as much one of those days as some of them always are or can be. All right, so we're hitting this high right here. Now, is this the all-time high on the NQ? Is it the high of the day? It's not the all-time high for sure. Not. Over here on the we got to get away from this weekly trading zone. Once we get away from the zone, we could have a run right here on the upside. Nothing else is giving us a trade here. We got a higher swing here on the NQ, so if it pulls back and gets oversold, we could have a trade coming up there. Yeah, that's. We're looking for the pullback here and looking for the pullback here on the Russell. Those are the only things we have possible trades on. What time is it? It's 1:20 already. Man, I talked right through everything. Seems like I've been doing that all day today. Just talking and talking. Well, if anybody has any questions or wants to see any other symbols, you know what I didn't look at is Bitcoin. Dwayne was just telling me there's blood in the streets when I was looking at Ethereum. Bitcoin's going to be the same way. Let's just look at that. Yes, there is blood in the streets. And all these levels looking left over here, they're all getting hit. The next one down is right here, and then it's all the way down here to 42,000. It's a big fall from way up there. But remember, on daily, when I crunch this up, and I was going back, what I kept doing is going back here to look at what happened the last time. Oops. Okay. Actually didn't do that. To look at what happened the last time. You know, it made a run up, and then we had a bunch of sideways action before it finally made the run up again. So this is the run up. This is the sideways action. It's going to take a while. Looks like. Looks like. All right. Nice higher swing there on that. Much higher. All right. Any questions? Gordon, was it you that was looking at gold the other day? Was that you that had somebody look at that the other day? I thought it was. On Wednesday afternoon in the webinar. All right, the Russell's almost got a trade right here, guys. Now it's far enough away from the weekly trade zone to get sucked right back into it, but it hasn't hit the ribbon and it hasn't gotten into the overbought, so it's not actually a trade here yet. Okay, not actually a trade yet. All right, and the NQ just keeps going. It needs to pull back. Give us an opportunity. It's not done that yet. All right. Well, just looking around and looking to see any opportunities anywhere. The Russell's the closest thing we have right here. It's got a high of 38.7, so you'll be selling 37.9 on that. 37.9. Okay. 38.8 down to 38.0. Sorry, 38.0.
That looks like a great. It has great potential. We'll see.
Well, we will see. Texas under increasing threat of impacts from Hurricane Beryl. Hurricane's barreling down. The NQ just keeps going and going. Next target for 76. Sorry, I'm looking for the wrong one. NQ's up there. 617. Alright, now 617 is the next target that's coming up. It's right here. Look, it's right there. I think that's the last target, right? We don't have any more after that. So if I go in here and I do this, oops, I mean this one. Is it out to 5 targets? Yeah, it is. So we only have 4. That's new highs right there. 1975, all-time high right there on the NQ. The Russell is looking like it's going to pull back right here. It has pulled back. I mean, looking like it's going to drop from 39.2. You'd be looking down at 0.6 now. No, 0.4. Sorry, 0.4. All right.
That Russell's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It just
Yeah, it is. It is.
just
That's hard to do,
popping up.
especially.
That was one of John's favorite things. I quoted him on something else the other day. I forget what it was.
Savant.
So I hadn't even thought about that. Market savant.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago. All right. Well, Dwayne, I'm going to wrap it up a little bit early.
All right, buddy.
The thing that I was trying to do during the break, I didn't get done. And the guy said he was going to stay a little extra for me because he was going to leave at 1:30.
Okay. Just tell me when you're ready. I'll take it over.
Well, let's just wrap it up. I'll just send it back out to Fabulous Phoenix, Arizona right now. I'll wrap it up for the day. Here it is. Hit it out.
Okay. Recap of the morning session.
Today it took 6 minutes and 1 trade to get to $1,995 total.
What a way to end the week.
It is. It is. It was a great week.
And
Thank you,
guys, I said it, Michael said it, but I'll say it again. To take the free trial, you just go to mytradingiq.com. At the top of the page, there's a link. It says 5-day free trial. No credit card required. If you click that link today, fill out the form properly, and hit submit, there's a very good chance we'll get your indicators indicating today. Get your desktop set up. You'll have the weekend to get familiar with the indicators, and then your trial, your free trial, well, it's not free because we pay for it, but it'll start Monday and run all the way through close of business on Friday. So take advantage. I just turned a 5-day free trial into a 7-day free trial for you. That's a great deal at any price. Okay. All right, let's pick up where we left off. NQ, that's where we left off. Okay, this is where the market opened last night, right at a weekly zone. So we had support below us. There was never a reason to think about the short target. Now, for anybody that joined us late, let me just... Last night, all these alerts went out to our members and even trial members 20 minutes after the open. Okay. And once price got above the BBC, bull bear cross, BBC, bullish above, bearish below, and red and falling turned to blue and climbing, it just escorted you right up to the target. When the market finds resistance, what'll it do? It'll go look for support. The pullback to the BBC holds more often than not. Now, on that pullback, it did spike down. We had a red candle all the way down to the zone. But by the time the 30-minute candle closed, price was back to the BBC. Now, these zones were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published Monday morning, carved in stone for the entire week, we've published them for our members every week, closing in on 15 years. first week we published was December 14th of 2009. And since then, nothing's changed. Actually, they've gotten a little better, but that's the grace of God. Okay, now look at what's happening here on this NQ rally. You see how on the way up you had price, step line, blue and climbing, BBC with lots of separation. That's what I call the perfect stack. You can stay with that perfect stack until this happens. See how we were just moving higher and higher, but now we've consolidated and the step line is about to get on the right side of blue and climbing. When that happens, guess what? Price will most likely pull back to the BBC. Now the pullback holds more often than not, but eventually it will trade through. But you should expect it to hold until proven otherwise. Over here, you see how the step line crossed blue and climbing? What did price do? Pull back to the BBC. Over here, the step line crossed. What happened? Pull back to the BBC. Does it happen 100% of the time? No. You should be very wary of anybody that tells you something happens all the time, because they just might be pulling your leg. Does it happen more often than not? That's a big fat yes. Okay. So what a beautiful run. Suitable for framing. All right, on to crude. Crude opened right here on this candle. Came down to the BBC, but it had red and falling overhead, so it traded through the BBC. Found support off this low here. Buyers came in, tried to push it higher, creating basically a double top. So price retraces to the BBC, consolidates for hours, and then it attempts a rally only to get slapped back down. So we're below the BBC. Blue and climbing has turned to red and falling. Here's what I would look to do. Let price take out this low, okay? And I would trade 83.45 to 83.35. That's $100 per contract traded. Goal for the day. Now you could don't. I was gonna say you could put on a higher risk trade and get short at 83.55, but let price prove itself. Because remember, price is always trying to get to a zone from the moment the markets open Sunday night till they close Friday afternoon. So if we're below the BBC, we believe price is trying to get to this zone, like it did yesterday, like it did the day before. Just coming from the other direction, right? So we know there's potential support at this low. It's right in front of us. It's there. Okay, the low of that candle is 59. So what I mean by letting price prove itself, let price get down to 83.45. No, I know you want to go 50. Don't. Wait for 83.45. Trade it to 83.35. Take your goal for the day. Put the mouse away. And go spend time with your family. Or do whatever it is God created you to do. He didn't create you to trade. He gave you trading as a vehicle to do what he created you to do. See, some people don't understand this, but ministry costs money. You want to feed hungry people? Well, somebody's going to have to pay for them groceries. Want to house the homeless? Somebody's got to pay for the building materials and the labor. Want to build an orphanage? I can tell you from personal experience, that costs a ton of money. And it's not a one-time expense. It's an ongoing monthly expense. God bless all the people out there, people that I don't even know, from countries that I've never even been to, that faithfully support that orphanage every month. Without you folks, without the Spirit of God moving you to that generosity, those orphans would be back on the street. We broke ground in 2000. 24 years later, my son's only 22. 24 years later, we got 700 orphans who go to bed every single night with a full tummy, and somebody tells them that they're loved and that God loves them. Even more important. So many of our kids have gone on to not only finish high school, because it's an orphanage and a school. They've graduated, gone on to university. We've had sponsors sponsor the cost of them going to university. And now some of them have become successful. Well, they've all got jobs. They want one. But we've created some successful entrepreneurs who've built businesses. We got one kid, to me he's still a kid, travels to China all the time. He's built an international import-export business. He came to us, no shoes, raggedy clothes. Mom and dad had died of AIDS. Oh, please, I'm not hitting you up for money. I never do that on this radio broadcast. Because God may not have called you to be involved in orphanages. Maybe he's calling you to something else. This trading stuff is just a vehicle to get you from where you are to where God wants you to be. Worship the Creator, not the creation. Don't get so wrapped up in the markets and so successful that the market or the chart becomes your God. Huge mistake. Don't do it. Trading is simply a vehicle to provide you with the money to do the things God created you to do. Okay, I'll stop preaching now. I was hoping price would drop and we would see that trade fill, but got to move on. Gold. Rocking it. Here's where we opened. Okay. Price gets above the BBC, red and falling, turns to blue and climbing. Now, I already said that 70% of the time when price encounters a weekly trading zone, there will be consolidation. Right? 20% of the time, there will be rejection. 10% of the time, price will slice through that zone like it's not even there on the 30-minute chart. When that happens and that slice runs out of steam, what typically happens is price retraces back to the zone it sliced through and then continues in the direction of the slice. Exactly like it did right here. So we run into resistance. Okay, we spike the resistance from Wednesday just a little bit, pull back, and that's a bullish sign. We pull back to the BBC, found support, ran back to the target, and this was the opening. Oh no, this is when the news came out this morning, if you can call it news. Anyway, look how price spiked. This was a huge red candle all the way down to the target. But before the 30-minute candle closed, we were all the way back up here. And then we hit the zone, and what happened? We consolidated. That's what happens 70% of the time. 20% of the time, rejection. 10% of the time, slice. Now the step line has already crossed. See how on the way up we had price, step line, blue and climbing, BVC, nice separation. We hit that zone, we consolidated, then we managed to get a little bit higher. But this is the highest weekly zone for gold. So, based upon almost 15 years of history, by close of business today, we expect gold to be at or below the highest weekly zone. Have there ever been weeks when price closed outside of the zones? Yeah, there have been a handful of weeks, maybe two handfuls of weeks over the last almost 15 years. But if history repeats itself, the highest probability is that price will close at or below this zone. Now, I said that to say this, the step line has crossed to the right side, so you should expect a retracement to the BBC. The pullback holds more often than not, so that could bounce us back up to the zone. Obviously, the market has the right stuff to trade through the highest zone. So wherever we close is wherever we close. But if you're long, I suggest you take profit now, because this baby is about to work its way back. First to the zone, and then to the BBC. Most likely. There's no 100% guarantee, but that's what happens more often than not. Okay? So yes, we hit the long target. Yes, we hit the short target. Silver. Here's where we opened last night. Got a leg and a retracement and a leg, and we hit the long target. Now with silver, it only takes 2 pennies to get your goal for the day. Now from 30.70 to 31.70, this move that you've seen in today's session, that's worth over $5,000 per contract traded. Now, if you were constantly moving your stop up, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, you got stopped out here. But that's okay. When you get stopped out, you can always get back in. Especially the way this thing, just imagine it's red all the way down. Oh my gosh, the bottom's falling out of the silver market. But within 30 minutes, bang, we're back above the long target. Now, is that the highest zone for silver? It sure is. So, remember, gold and silver most often trade in tandem. The step line is crossing, blue and climbing. We've already revisited the zone and caught a little bounce. But as that step line works its way over, look for a retracement back to the BBC. Keeping in mind the pullback holds more often than not. So once price gets there, just got to be patient. Now you might be wondering, well, if you're so sure price is going back to the BBC, why don't you just short it? In the Logic 247 channel, there's over 17,000 alerts. Every single one of them is a trend trade, as defined by the 30-minute chart and the BBC. As long as price is above the BBC, I will only issue long alerts. When price is below the 30-minute BBC, I will only issue short alerts. Is there something wrong, illegal, immoral, or fattening about counter-trend trading? Not at all. But I'm teaching new people how to trade. I want you to master trading with the trend before you start trading against the trend. Why? Because I want you to succeed. A trend trade has a higher probability, lower risk than a counter trend trade. Is it easier to swim upstream or downstream? Go with the flow. So again, nothing wrong with shorting this. I just won't put it out as an official alert. Okay? All right. Enough of that. Last market, Euro. Here's where we open. Pull back to the BBC. Bounced up to the zone. Consolidated like we do 70% of the time. Over here we got rejected. That's 20% of the time. And then after the consolidation, boop, target. This candle, well, you need 80 ticks. That wasn't enough to get your goal for the day. But there was some money in it. Resistance sent us back to support, which sent us to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, and look how close we came to the short target. This is why we don't trade news. Price ran all the way down here and all the way up here in one 30-minute candle because of that 8:30 economic report. Now, some people specialize in trading news. It's their thing. It's what they do. I'm not that guy. Okay? When it's time for the news, I just sit back and watch the fireworks and wait for the market to resume its natural normal rhythm. Then I look for trade setups. So we came down to the zone, found support, and that is also the highest weekly zone. Wow, I didn't realize. Sure is. This one, the structure tells me we just might close above this zone for the week. I mean, it could happen in a couple markets. Gold, silver, euro. So does that mean I'll go back to the drawing board and reevaluate what I've done for the last 15 years? No, not at all. The last 15 years stands on its own two legs. Or however many legs it's got, I don't know. One last look at the daily. What's our new all-time historic high? 56.14 half. Okay, we're going to bump this baby one more time. 56.4. Oh, I got it within one tick. Super. Now remember, because we're at all-time historic highs, looking left will do you no good. Because you'll be looking where man has never been before. But using the same 14th century math that we use to create these fib retracements, we use that same math in a different way to project into the future where price may potentially find resistance or support, as it did for 8 days. Now we got a new high. This is the 100% fib extension. Once we reach that 100% fib extension, I will then draw my fib extensions from this high. I'm sorry, from this low to this high to this retracement low right here. And that'll project more numbers into the future for us. So just show up every day and I'll keep you on track. To become a member, go to mytradingiq.com. If you have questions, call 949-42-EMINI or send an email to support@cfrn.net. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they're trying to learn out of a book or a course or some room with a grumpy guru. You need a teacher, a living, breathing teacher that will take you by the hand and actually first teach you how to read the chart. Because until you learn how to read the chart the same way you read a newspaper, you're never going to learn how to trade. You can't learn biology, sociology, or philosophy until you first learn how to read. So that's step one, learning how to read the chart and understand what it's telling you. Then, once you learn how to read the chart, we can teach you how to trade. 9 out of 10 new traders don't have a teacher. They get frustrated, they get aggravated, they dump a bunch of money, and they walk away. Now, becoming a passport holder does not guarantee you're going to become the 1 out of 10. Because even though we'll cater to you and do everything we can for you, I don't know if you're going to follow the rules. I don't know if you're going to do what we tell you to do. But I do know this. As a member, you at least have a fighting chance at becoming the 1 out of 10. You'll have every possible resource at your disposal, including around-the-clock support. Not only do you get 2 hours every day in the live training room, you have private one-on-one mentoring, no extra charge. The strategy you learn is fluid across all markets, all time frames. Futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETFs. Price flow is the same across all markets and all time frames. Support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again, a never-ending cycle. As a passport holder, you own the indicator set for life. You receive the Logic 247 alerts, the concierge trade alerts, the weekly trading zones, and you're able to attend the members-only workshop every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you get the golden key that unlocks all the private channels in Telegram. We have public channels for you while you're taking the trial. But once you become a member, you get the golden key that opens private channels. You see, we do the members-only workshop every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, which we record, and then we place it in the vault in one of our private Telegram channels. You can go in there once you become a member and watch years of members-only workshops if you want to. Do you need to? No. Here's what you need to do. Show up every day, ask lots of questions, and trade in your demo account until you qualify to go live. Can you do that? Then you should become a member today. Let's wrap it up with our good word for today. We started last time with steps to forgiveness, part 1. Today's part 2. Luke 6:37. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Here are 3 more steps to forgiveness. Number 1. Accept people as they are and don't try to change them. Now you say, I'll only forgive them if they change. That just keeps you tied to them, obsessing over what they did, and demanding they act in ways that you approve of. Nothing makes people less willing to change than when you try to control them and demand that they meet your requirements. Changing people is not your job. That's God's job. Your job is to choose to forgive and leave the outcome to God. The formula for healing is simple. Forgive, let go, and let God. Number 2, see your offender as God's tool for your growth. It's easier to forgive someone when you stop seeing them as Satan's agent sent to destroy you and begin seeing them as God's instrument to develop you. The life of Joseph speaks to this principle. The path that led him from the pit to the palace was paved by injustice, disappointment, and betrayal. But God used each painful circumstance to get him to his destiny. God can do the same thing for you that he did for Joseph. Hopefully you won't have to go into a pit or get locked up. But you get the point, right? And number 3, try reconciling with your offender. Reconciliation is God's nature. Romans 5:10. When we were enemies, we were reconciled by God to God by the death of his Son. And what God did for you, he wants you to do for whoever you are at odds with. Jesus made reconciliation a top priority in Matthew 5:24. Jesus' words, leave your gift there before the altar and go your way. First, be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Yes, it will take selflessness and humility on your part, but the return is worth the investment. And that, my friend, is our good word for today and for the week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.